Hey everybody, what I'm about to read and offer my thoughts and analysis of is an article that's in First Things magazine. I used to read First Things a lot when I was younger, and just more of a normie conservative. It's a Catholic periodical. It's it's not bad. It's got some good stuff in it, but this article is not one of them. So, but it is an interesting article, and that's why I'm I'm going to talk about it. The title is "Untortured Poets: Taylor Swift Dreams of Marriage." Okay, so this is the author is Isabella Clarke, and in this article, the writer is analyzing Taylor Swift's new album called Tortured Poets. Okay. So I'll just read, I'm going to read some of it verbatim and then stop and offer my analysis. And if you want to look up the article yourself, I'll leave the link below. It begins on her 2022 album Midnights. Taylor Swift addressed fan speculation over why she and her then boyfriend, Joe Alwyn, had not yet tied the knot. All that they keep asking me is if I'm gonna be your bride. The only kind of girl they see is a one night or a wife. Okay, so her relationship with Alwyn should not have to follow rigid social conventions. It's the 1950s shit they want from me. Okay. So, skipping ahead a bit, but on the Tortured Poets department, her 11th studio album, her latest album, and its extended version, the anthology, Swift changes her tune. Despite its increasing fragility and lack of permanence in the modern West, Swift still desires marriage, which she invokes as the ultimate symbol of enduring love and commitment. Okay, I rolled my eyes there for reasons I will elaborate on momentarily. Released on April 19th, Tortured Poets chronicles the end of Swift's 6-year relationship. Okay, so she's still just... God, this was like the whole knock on her like years ago, that she just writes about... She just dates people and then breaks up with them and then writes angry songs about them, about the breakup and so forth, and just makes her romantic life, her the trials and tribulations, the ups and the downs of her romantic life, just puts that into her songs. You know, and I really had a moment where I really liked her song, the anti-hero song, where she said, "It's me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me." But it seems that here she's going to be blaming some other people besides herself, which is unfortunate, but I guess to be expected. So, Tortured Poets chronicles the end of Swift's 6-year relationship with Alwyn and her fleeting but passionate romance with bad boy Matty Healy, frontman of the British band the 1975. On So Long London, Swift bids goodbye to the city where she shared a house with Alwyn. Her earlier dismissal of marriage in Lavender Haze gives way to disappointment. Quote, "You swore that you loved me, but where were the clues? I died on the altar waiting for the proof." God, so much drama. Her reference to an altar casts her both as a sacrificial lamb, a sacrifice with no purpose, and as a bride waiting for wedding vows as proof of love. On the same track, she explicitly resents the investment she made in this love, which yielded no return. Quote, "I'm pissed off you let me give you all that youth for free." He didn't put a ring on it, and she's mad. She's mad that she gave it up to him. I mean, you know, and I'm not just speaking to Taylor Swift here. I mean, you do stuff like that, it's you. It's you. Hi, you're the problem. It's you. So that's a message you ought to be going back to, but apparently she got off that message. Swift, who is 34, yeah, she's not that. She says, "I let you give me all that youth for free." She's not, so she's not really that young. She gives voice to many a woman in her 30s. This is how you can tell a woman wrote this. Okay. The waste of youth. I don't mean that denigratingly. I'm just saying you can tell. The waste of youth is inherently more cutting for women than for men. Younger women are culturally seen as more attractive, even more valuable, and biologically our youth is a precious resource. Right. But what you're told to do these days, if you're a young woman, is just to go have a lot of party hard, party hardy, sleep with a lot of guys, and think about your career until you are almost past the age of being able to bear children, and then start looking for a stable guy to be your husband. That's the terrible advice that they're given, and that's that's the pattern that they follow for a lot of them anyway. Not all, but a lot of today's women. So biologically, our youth is a precious resource. Skipping down. Okay, it is hard, even for the most modern and independent woman, not to feel duped when a long-term partner has taken those young years only to renege on the best laid plans. He didn't renege on anything. Did he say, "I'm going to marry you"? Or did you just think, "Oh, he's hot. I like him. I want to be with him, and hopefully he'll propose to me eventually." I think the latter. I don't think there's any real reneging here. He used you. You let yourself be used. It was a mutual thing. You've only got yourself to blame. The article goes on. There are references to unfulfilled hopes of marriage elsewhere on the album. In the title track, Swift describes her lover moving a ring from another finger to a ring finger over dinner and confesses, "That's the closest I've come to my heart exploding." Okay. But this implicit promise never comes to fruition. Okay. Oh, he moves it from another finger to his ring finger, and she takes that as him saying, "I want to marry you." Oh man. But this implicit promise, it's not a promise. It's I don't know what it was. It might not have meant anything. Or maybe he was just messing with your mind, which isn't nice. Admittedly, that's not a nice thing to do, but it's not a promise. Okay. Going on. On LOML, she laments that her hopes for marriage and a family were taken advantage of. Quote, "You shit-talked me under the table, talking rings and talking cradles. I wish I could unrecall how we almost had it all." All right, so yeah. I mean, again, whatever happened to, no huggy, no kissy till you make me your wife, as the Georgia Satellite said. Don't hand me no lines and keep your hands to yourself. I mean, that was the girl that they sing about in that song. She's got it together a hell of a lot more than this girl does. Her voice is muted and forlorn. There is an irate fatigue on this album. That's just, oh boy. I really want to hang out with a woman who is irately fatigued. That sounds so That sounds so appealing. That feels new for the ever hopeful, starry-eyed, and persistently romantic Taylor Swift. Okay. So on her 24, this is how the writer charts Swift's change in perspective. And again, it's so like you don't have to just be autobiographical. You don't have to be so like. There's something so cheesy about being that. I mean, yes, you make your if you are writing music or making art of some kind. Yes, you make your life. You use your life to make your art. But why does it all have to be? Why does it have to be like writing in your diary? That's just so tiresome, I find. On her 2014 album, 1989, she pleads, "Please take me dancing and please leave me stranded. It's so romantic." On Tortured Poets, a decade later, she angrily reprimands a lover. So she's irately fatigued, and now she's angrily reprimanding. She's turning into a fishwife without even being a wife. Angrily reprimands a lover who abandons her. "How dare you think it's romantic, leaving me safe and stranded?" What once she found romantic, she now rejects. Okay. I mean, in 2014, she was 24. You know, just doing what young women are supposed to do today. Just living it up. But now she's 34, and it's a little different. Reading on, the disconnect here, whether Swift is aware of it or not, stems from the different definitions of what romance is. Okay, this gets a little. I'm going to skip through some of this. Blah blah blah. It's a little pedantic. On Tortured Poets, Swift yearns for something more stable. Lasting and loving commitment is still best represented by marriage, no matter how maligned the institution has become in the modern West. On But Daddy, I Love Him, she imagines what it would be like to actually make it to the wedding. Now, quote, "Now I'm dancing in my dress in the sun, and even my daddy just loves him. I'm his lady." Okay. So that recalls her earlier song, "Love Story." "I talked to your dad, go pick out a white dress." But in this album, she increasingly gives voice to her anger at the inability of men to match her desire to pledge lifelong loyalty. Ah! And the thing is, this writer, who's a woman, by the way, this writer sort of says, yeah, she's right. Why won't these men just step up? The writer of this piece does not say, Taylor Swift, why don't you find the kind of man who will do this, who maybe isn't your physical ideal, as maybe lower your standards just a little, but find somebody who's a good man, who will marry you and let you bear children and give you the storybook wedding that you want, and the storybook family that you want. There are men like that out there. You think when you're Taylor Swift, you honestly think, oh, there's just no guys. Her problem is that she just can't find any guys who would marry her. Really? I bet there are hundreds or thousands of men who would marry her and be good husbands to her. The problem is she needs them to be at a certain level. I.e., she needs them to, her hypergamy is kicking in. She is a billionaire pop star who jet sets around the world. So she only is going for these men who are, who she thinks of as above her. And of course, men of that type, I'm sounding like a broken record now, but just to repeat that scratchy part of the record again, you know, men who are at the very tippy top of the social hierarchy have tons of options. All right, so they know they can get girls like you, Taylor Swift, to sleep with them without having to marry them. And they're pleased as punch to do that. Okay? Because they can get away with it. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying that I mean, yeah, it's not a great way to live. But know what you're getting into here, and maybe be a little wiser about who you're selecting. Would be what I would say. But to the woman writing this article, it's just like, oh yes, she gives voice to her anger at the inability of men to match her desire to pledge lifelong loyalty. There are probably hundreds of thousands of men who would pledge lifelong loyalty to her and be loyal to her and be good husbands to her and a good father to her children. Hundreds of thousands. She's just not interested in those men. Okay. These experiences are what makes Swift relatable to so many women. Ghosting Peter Pan syndrome, which Swift documents in this album's Peter. What is Peter Pan? That's like not wanting to grow up. Okay, again though, that's a certain type of man who can get away with that type of behavior because he's at the very high end of the social hierarchy. You want to find that unicorn that's on the high end of the social hierarchy, but still just is monogamous and will commit to you, and you just I don't know what to say at this point. It's again being a broken record. Men who want long-term, long-distance, low-commitment, casual girlfriends, to quote Barbie's Ken, are all too common in today's modern dating scene. They're common among a certain type of men, okay, but not so. But again, there are plenty of men who wouldn't do that, who wouldn't treat you that way. But you're just not interested in those types of men. All right. Although Swift is one of the most famous and beloved people on the planet, a billionaire with a private jet, Tortured Poets portrays her yearning for something very simple, yet increasingly difficult to attain. In the Prophecy, the most poignant track on the album, Swift turns her eyes upward and begs an unspecified higher power to change her fate. Okay, so she's praying in this one song. A greater woman wouldn't beg, but I looked at the sky and said, please, I've been on my knees, change the prophecy. Don't want money, just someone who wants my company. You're lying. You're lying. You're not saying you're not saying I want someone who wants my company. You're saying I want someone amongst the coterie of men whom I'm interested in. I want somebody amongst that group to want my company and to want to marry me. Okay, God, I'm just. I find myself growing less and less patient with all of this. I'm getting older. I'm getting crankier. It's the way it is. The author writes, wanting someone who wants your company is a very basic human desire. While that need can be met through other interpersonal relationships, parents, siblings, meaningful friendships. This album reveals that even individuals as powerful and successful as the Taylor Swift can desire the validation of marriage. Well, clearly that's what she wants. Um, yeah. Although, of course, like the article said at the beginning, you know, people are always asking, "Am I going to be the bride? Why do I have to? I'm not this 19 enough of this 1950s bullshit." Like she's saying shit a lot in her songs now. I guess that shows how mature she is. That she's using profanity in her music. Culturally, legally, and spiritually, marriage is the act of choosing another's company for life. It is the promise I'll never leave. Although the institution has been increasingly attacked and stripped of its meaning, it remains powerful, a dream on which Swift and many others hang their hopes of finding someone in this life who will not abandon them. All right, I won't repeat myself there. Swift, Untortured Poets, makes it very clear who she blames for thwarting her dream, namely the men who, quote, didn't measure up in any measure of a man. Okay, so, you know, Taylor, Baby, Sweetie, your big hit, the song that I really liked, from, what was it, a year and a half ago? It's Me, Hi, I'm the Problem, It's Me. It's you. Stop blaming the men. Start blaming you. You are the common denominator here. You are persistently choosing these men who end up not wanting you in a long-term sense. But the woman who wrote this article finishes up her article with, perhaps the culture who raised these men to take women and talk of marriage so lightly ought also to bear some of the blame. But that's another story and probably not one for a Taylor Swift album. Perhaps the culture who raised these men to take women and talk of marriage so lightly. Blaming... okay. If you want to blame the culture for men being this way, for the very high echelon men being this way, blame the culture also for the women being the way that Taylor Swift is being. Right? But instead, this writer, Isabella Clarke, sympathizes with her and thinks, yeah, girl, you're right. There's just so many men out there who are just so disappointing. And again, just ignore. You don't even have to downgrade that much. You can find a guy who's attractive, maybe not as attractive as these other guys, maybe not the kind of star that these other guys are. Not a rock star, not a football player, not an NFL football player. Not a rock star bad boy, or not a Hollywood actor. You can find a guy who is handsome and nice and romantic and will, I guarantee you can find guys like that in a heartbeat. If you wanted to find them. If you wanted to find a guy like that more than you wanted to make the kind of guys that you're already, the very small subset of guys, the coterie of guys that you're already inclined to want to be with, to try to make one of them into a husband when he clearly doesn't want to be a husband, when he clearly just wants to play around because, men, high status men have options. That's just the way it is. So, there you go. I'll link the piece below. Thanks for watching.